Welcome to my channel. I'm Gayle, and today we're going to do some really fun things for our shoulders to get them moving, to build a little bit of strength, and to end up having shoulders that feel maybe a little more free, a little more mobile and stable at the same time. So what you'll need for this practice is a set of yoga blocks, and you can always use books if you don't have blocks. But if you're serious about doing yoga, I think yoga blocks are a great prop to have. They're not that expensive. So grab some yoga blocks and we'll get started. So start by sitting up nice and tall. Trying to bring your shoulders over your hips and your head in line with your spine, meaning not this forward jutting of the head, but a little bit of a lift. And as you inhale, reach your arms up. And as you exhale, let them float down. Inhale, palms turn up. Arms reach up toward the sky, so the shoulders are elevating. And then as you release, the shoulders relax down. So we're not really trying to make them do anything like elevate or depress. We're just trying to find a nice fluid motion here. And then when your fingers are lifted, start to stretch through your right side and then the left side, just reaching up a little bit longer, getting a little bit taller. Take a big inhale, and as you exhale, twist over to the right. Bring your left hand to the outside of your right knee. With your right hand behind you, start to lift up through your chest and see if you can, from the center of your shoulders, the back of your shoulder blades, maybe twist a little deeper without using your hands for leverage, but just finding that twist. And maybe continue the twist throughout your neck as well. Then start to bring your right hand back over to the left knee. So now we're centered, and just lean back, rounding your back. Let your head hang. Breathe into your back. Maybe feel a little stretch in the back of your shoulder blades. Then release your hands, keep your elbows together. And if you can bring your palms together, bring the palms together. Otherwise, you could have the back of your hands together. And continue to lift up on your arms and then release the hands. Let the elbows separate. Hold your elbows with your hands and reach back. With your shoulders, pull the ribs back as well. And just notice how this feels. See where you feel the stretch. But you may not be able to get your shoulders all the way back. So instead of bowing your head, see if you can lift up as much as you can. Lift up through the ribs. And you might have your arms a little forward, but if you can, bring them back. And then release your arms. Bring your hands behind your back. Keep the shoulders nice and open. Pressing into your hands, lift your heart up. And take a couple of breaths here. Inhale, reach your arms up. Then exhale, we'll twist over to the left, bringing your right hand to the outside of your left knee. And again, seeing if you can get a little bit of lift from the upper back. A little extra twist if that's okay for you. Keep the shoulders nice and open on the front and the back. Maybe lean back a little bit. And start to unwind, bringing your left hand across to your right knee. And again, let your body round, your back round. Let your head and neck relax. And keeping the elbows together again, bring the arms up. Keep reaching up through the elbows. Separate the arms, bring your arms behind you if you can. Lift up nice and tall. Keep the ribs back, so we're not trying to do a big back bend here. We're trying to open the shoulders more, so keeping the ribs back. And then release your elbows, bring your hands behind your back. So I'm just turning to show you. So press down through your fingertips, lift up through your heart. You should feel a nice amount of space between your ears and your shoulders. You don't really want to be like this. But you don't want to be too pulled down either. Just find a nice, relaxing place. And then come onto your hands and knees in tabletop, and we'll do a little bit of cat-cows. So as you inhale, Pull your chest forward, shoulders back, tailbone up. And as you exhale, let your back round. So your shoulders are doing a little bit of an internal rotation here and a little bit of an external rotation in your cow pose. If you grab the mat with your fingers and try and isometrically twist your hands to the outside without letting them move, that's what isometric means. It means to make the action of moving without actually moving, so you create a little force, a little tension. Then it might help to your shoulders to open up a little bit more. When you sit your hips back on your heels, stretch your arms forward actively. So lift up through the armpits, push down and forward in your hands. Let your forehead rest on the floor. Feel a nice stretch in the back of your shoulders and in through the armpits and all the way through the forearms into the fingertips. And we'll take a couple more breaths here. And inhale, come forward, walk your knees back, bring your belly to the floor. Bring your fingertips a little wider than your shoulders and forward of the shoulders. Engage your legs, and keeping your low ribs on the floor, just press your fingertips down and forward and curl up into a little mini cobra. So don't let the shoulders come forward, keep them back. If you press your fingers down and forward into the ground, you'll activate the muscles around the arms and the shoulders. And then extend as you lower down. On your next inhale, lift up through the shoulders. Keep those ribs down. We're just doing little baby cobras. Feel that strength required by your back to lift you up here and slowly lower down. And one more time, inhale, curl up. Try and hold this position, not trying to go any higher at all, and bring your hands back by your sides. And continue to stay in this little baby cobra. Again, you can press your hands down, rotate them out, and lift up and back into your child's pose. And come back up onto your hands and knees and take your blocks and bring them on the lowest height for now. Place your elbows on the blocks, maybe a little wider than your shoulders. Walk your knees back. Bring your palms together. You can rest your forehead on the floor, and you could keep your fingers facing up, or you could reach them back. So you should feel a good stretch on the underside of your arms here. You could even think of puffing your back up in towards your hands if your hands are back on the upper back. You could also squeeze the elbows in a little bit and press them down into the blocks. Notice how activating the muscles changes the quality and the feeling of the stretch. And come on back up. Stretch back into your child's pose. Do this for a breath or two here. And we'll do that one more time. So if you want, you could bring the blocks to the next highest height. Again, place your elbows down. Reach your hips back. Press your hands in towards each other to engage the arms and the shoulders. Maybe let your forehead rest on the floor. Keep a little bit of like uplift on your armpits, and maybe bring your hands back a little bit. Now, if this feels tweaky on your shoulder, you just want to come out of it a little bit, maybe hug in. Find something that helps it to feel good, where there's no pinching here. We don't want any pinching. It's not about enduring a really uncomfortable place. It's about trying to feed your breath to expand, to press down a little bit and hug in to engage the muscles. And then be patient with your breath in the process of Getting those shoulders a little more open while keeping them strong and stable. And then lift up again. Move the blocks off to the side. We'll come into our first downward facing dog. So start with your toes tucked and your arms forward. Lift up through the arms and push your hands down and forward into the floor. Push your hands so much down and forward that your knees start to lift up. And without straightening your legs, keep your knees bent. Press your hands down and forward. Lift up through the ribs. And then if you can keep your back nice and long like this, you can start pressing your thighs back. So straightening the legs is not the priority here. Keeping the back nice and long and the shoulders safe is the priority. So by safe, I mean broadness between the shoulders and the front and the back body. And come up onto your tiptoes. Walk forward to your hands. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Bring your hands to your hips. Lift your shoulders away from the floor. Extend out through the back of your neck. And then think of reaching forward as you come all the way up to stand. Relax your arms by your sides. So inhale, reach up. And exhale, release. Inhale, reach up again. And exhale, release. So take a block, and if you have a cork block, it's going to be easier, it won't fall off your hand as easy, but it's going to be more work to hold it up, so a little more work on your shoulder. If you have a foam block, it'll fall off a little easier, but you won't have to press this weight up. So start with a block in your left hand, and then move your hand across to the right. Bring your arm way over and behind you, bend your elbow and your wrist, and then circle your hand over your head. So big inner rotation of the shoulder. I'm going to reach my hand back and trying to keep my hand flat. I'm going to circle my wrist and bring it all the way forward. So again, reaching across, bending my elbow. So whatever you need to do to keep your palm facing the sky, and then turn your wrist in and bring it across. So you can be kind of playful with this, like you could move your body around even more, just playing around, or you could try and stay less movement with your body and having to work the shoulder and the wrist a little bit more. So feel free to pause this video and play around with it. So I'm going to go one more time across to the right, over to the left, circle the head, reach my arm behind me. And this is a hard one for me, so I'm circling at the wrist to come forward and back. And I will switch sides. So I'm going to have the block on my right hand, reaching across to the left. Bring it all the way out and around, back over my head, internally rotating the shoulder. So I'm leaning forward a little bit, and then I'm going to bend the wrist, circle my wrist, and come on back to start. So I'll do a couple more of these. Whoops, a little too fast that time. Okay, so I'm also right here. I'm not really holding the edge of the block. I'm trying to see if I can just balance it on my hand. See if we can do this a little bit better this time. So trying to keep my hand flat and just circle the wrist and come across. And maybe just one more time. Last one. Okay, I'm going to go slow at the end. It would be easier if I was holding the block with my fingers, and feel free to do that. So that's a really nice, fun way to warm up your shoulders using a block. Okay, so we're going to do some work rotating our shoulders using a wall. And the wall gives you some good feedback. It really helps to stabilize your hand. Now you want to be careful to listen to your body, listen to your shoulder. You don't want to force it into any range of motion it's not ready for. So try as much of this as you can. I'm going to try and go slowly and explain it to you so that it makes sense to you. Okay, so I'm going to start with my left hand at the wall, Fingers facing down, thumb pointing to the outside. Now, you don't want to have your hand way down low, below the shoulder, and you don't want to have it up too high. But there's a range that you can experiment with. So first I'm just going to do a little shoulder flossing. Just kind of lean into the wall. So I'm retracting the shoulder blade and protracting it. So the shoulder's moving nice and gently. And now I'm going to start to spin. So I'm going to start to turn away from my hand, bend my elbow, kind of coming into a little back bend, getting closer to the wall, and then keep spinning around and straighten my arm. So I'm facing away from the wall. Now my arm is straight and I've got this big internal rotation of my shoulder. And then to reverse that, I'm going to bend my knees, kind of duck underneath my arm. So I'm pretty close to the wall here. And the distance of your body from the wall will vary, and keep coming around until I'm back where I started. Okay? So we'll try again. Gonna straight arm, push away from the wall, then bend my knees, bend my elbow, get a little closer to the wall. Keep spinning around until I'm facing away from the wall. And then to reverse that, bend the elbow, come closer to the wall, start to push away from the wall, and turn around facing the wall again. Last one. So I'm turning away, bending my knees, ducking under my arm, walking a little closer to the wall. Keep spinning until I can straighten my arm. And then bend the elbow, duck under again. And it's kind of a little tricky here if I'm really trying to keep the heel of my hand at the wall. Tend to straighten the arm and come back to center. Okay, so we'll try with the right arm. So first just a little flossing, moving our body closer to the wall and then away. And then we start to turn, bend the elbow, come into a little bit of a back bend. Keep turning around until I'm facing away from the wall. And then I'm going to reverse that. So bend the knees, bend the elbow, get close to the wall. Keep turning until I'm again facing the wall. Okay, so turning away, bending my elbow, walking in. And just trying to keep the joint, my shoulder joint, nice and safe. I'm going slow enough so that I'm not forcing anything. Just listening and moving with the breath. So last one, turning away. My arm is extended here. And then I'm going to bend my knees, bend my elbow, and duck. Or reach toward the wall. And then I'm going to pivot around underneath my arm and straighten the arm. You can see how I go into pretty much of a forward fold here. And then I'm going to reverse that. So I'm close to the wall. And then start to straighten my arm and come back. Okay, so now we're going to play with kind of doing a little back bend into the wall. So I'm going to start with the left hand at the wall. Bend my knees, and as I come facing away from the wall, I'm going to bring my right hand to the wall and turn around and come back. So I'm not sure the best way to place my hand here to show you. So with my right hand at the wall, I'm going to bend my knees, come to where I'm facing the wall. I'm just moving my hand because I'm going to switch to the other hand and unwind. Okay, so I'll start with the left hand and turn away from the wall, just like we did before. And this is the same as what we were doing earlier, but now I'm switching hands. So I'm going to bring my right hand to the wall and unwind. So do that one more time. I'm going to bend my knees, bend the elbow, and now it's like I was on the floor getting ready to push off into a back bend. So my elbows are bent, and then I'm just going to switch hands, turn away, and I'll come back. So right hand's at the wall, bend my knees, bend my elbow, place the other hand, and unwind. All right, so now let's stretch it out. So place your hands on the wall, walk your feet back, push forward into the wall and up. Keep the armpits lifted and the ribs lifted, and stretch your hips way out. The more you push into the wall and push up, push your hands into the wall and up, you'll feel your feet really ground because the hips are wanting to move away from your hands. Try and keep your shoulders apart in the back and apart in the front so you have space on the front body and the back body. Just give yourself a nice stretch. And then we can do some push-ups at the wall. So I'm gonna bring my hands a little lower, walk my feet out. I'm gonna try and keep my body nice and straight, bend the elbows, lower toward the wall, and push away. And you can really, this is a great way to build up strength, doing push-ups safely on the floor. The lower I go, the further away my feet are, the more it's like a push-up at the wall. On the floor. So you don't have to go that far, just as far as it feels good and safe for you, and you can keep good form. And voila. Okay, let's come back to our mats. And we'll do a little more strength work on our shoulders and wrap it up. So come onto your forearms, walk your knees back, lift your ribs up and press into your hands. Now you can stay here or you could straighten your knees. We're gonna push our hands into the floor, keep the back lifted. So not sagging like this, but nice and lifted. And then, so if you were on your knees, you're gonna lift your knees up and walk your feet in until your hips are over your shoulders. Keep pressing into the hands and walk it back. Walk your feet back. We'll do that a couple more times. And you can always pause and rest if you need to. Walk your feet forward, push your hands into the floor. Take a little bit of the effort, the work out of your elbows, and walk back into your forearm plank. We'll do that one more time. So come forward. And now what I'm gonna do is, you can try this and just see how it feels for you. So I'm gonna walk my feet back a little bit. I'm gonna really press my hands down and forward so you can see how far my weight shifted back. And I'm gonna keep pressing into my hands, pressing into the hands, and see if I can lift both elbows up. So it might be that you're lifting one elbow at a time. If that was fairly easy for you, you can try bending the elbows, lowering them down, and lifting them up, lowering them down, lift up. 2 more times. Lower down, lift up, and lower down, lift up. Bring your knees back down, rest in your child's pose. And walk your hands back to your feet. Bring your left hand behind your left heel. Reach your right arm up and across. And then we'll just switch sides, going from side to side. Just stretching out the shoulders after we ask them to do some work. And those going from our forearms to straight arms, from forearm plank to downward facing dog. And this time, when you're on the left side, reach your hips up, reach your arm across, and lower down, and lift, and lower. And you can make it into like a dance flow. So just bring some feeling into this. Make it fun. And then come into a comfortable seated position. Reach your arms out to the side. Rotate your left palm up and your right palm down, and then we're going to just rotate the shoulders in opposite directions. So my right shoulder's internally rotating, the left shoulder's externally rotating. And just go back and forth. Notice if I turn from my hands, it looks like this. If I turn from the shoulders, I'm doing more work in the shoulders, and that's what we want. So just go back and forth. Maybe slow it down a little bit. Maybe like kind of get into a little bit of a dance kind of move, like having fun. And then you're gonna bend your right elbow up and your left elbow down and reverse back and forth. So again, internal on the right, external on the left, internal on the left, external on the right. I'm trying to keep my elbows relatively still and work the range of motion. You might hear some clicking in your shoulders or one of your shoulders. So now from here, I'm going to straighten my arms. One is an internal rotation, one is an external rotation. And then I'll reverse, so other side. Back and forth. Rotate both palms up, reach up, gaze up, and exhale, bring your hands to your hearts. Let's lie on our backs and just do a little stretch on our backs. So let your back rest on the floor. Interlace your fingers, rotate the palms forward, and see if you can get your pinky fingers on the floor. Pull your low ribs in and stretch out through the palm of your hands. You can stretch out through your toes, either pointing or flexing your feet. So if you flex your feet, stretch out through your heels. If you point, stretch out through your toes. And just get nice and long here. And then relax. You can bring your arms into a cactus position if that feels good. If it's too much, you can always straighten your arms or bring your arm into a V shape. You just want to be comfortable here. Let the shoulders relax. See how much contact you feel with the shoulders on the ground. And don't try and force anything, but just with your breath, think about letting go, surrendering. And you can stay here as long as you like. It's really nice to give yourself the luxury of doing nothing, doing Savasana. Savasana is not going to sleep. It's awareness of this deep, deep state of relaxation, as if you were asleep, but you're still very aware and awake. So yoga means union, the union of opposites. And that's what Savasana is, the waking state and going into the subconscious realm. Surrendering to the moment, knowing that we don't have control over everything. We have control of our reactions and how long we hold on to something positive or something negative. Even when it seems like there's no choice, there's some choice. And not making any decision is a choice in a way. So let yourself relax here. So stay here as long as you like, and when you are ready to come out very slowly. And maybe take a moment in a seated position to notice and observe and give thanks. I want to thank you so much for joining me in this yoga practice, for liberating your shoulders, for hitting the like button if you like this video, and subscribing if you're not subscribed already. And please tell your friends. And really what I would love the most, I think, is if you would leave a comment. Let me know how this practice felt for you. Let me know any requests you might have, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Namaste.